Welcome to Laugh, Cry, or Die. This is a comedy disability podcast about two people with disabilities who sometimes do comedy and sometimes pathos and sometimes just outright crying in a corner in a heap, maybe in a bin bag. Who knows? My name's Steve Wilbury, and with me, as always, is my co host, Naomi Strain.
Ah, I hate everything. I'm in a mood. Technology is doing my nut in. I
Uh,
hate
we've
it.
been we've been wrestling with microphones, dear listeners. Well, do you want me to make you feel better?
Please.
Because I've had the worst day. So I went out
Hooray.
with my friend at Edinburgh Fringe last night and all of the street performer buddies. And they say that the draw for street performer slots is at 10 on Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So I go up and I do the draw, but thinking that I'm gonna go do like the little alcove shows.
Mm.
But instead it was like for the whole middle of the main high street. And I had not brought enough stuff to do that. And also, I don't really have a show like that. Um, Luckily, I got the worst slot, so I didn't take up anybody's time. But the guy after me came up and he was like, when you finish, the next person can come on. And I was just like, okay, fine. I'm just going to go kill myself in a corner.
Is that a polite way of saying stop now?
Yeah, just
Oh.
you're embarrassing yourself. But I really wanted to go back today and prove myself and bring the right equipment and say that I am good enough to stand with you guys. But my publicist says that I need to focus on my show instead of going to do street. And after my indoor show is solid and I've got a couple under my belt, then I can go and do street shows as well.
Right. Because you've done street stuff before and you're good.
I did. I've done street stuff before, but there's building a show and street. It's a slightly different art to like a normal show. You have to do things like hand stuff out to the audience and then do something else, and there's like little tricks to get people to stay longer and stuff. But
Right.
But yeah, I sucked dick hard.
That's
Although the 8 people that watched apparently did enjoy it. So
there's nothing worse than doing a public thing and it not going well. Like I remember one that we did at the Playhouse, and I had 2 stand-up sets. The first one went really well, and I was like, walked back into the green room and I'm buzzing. I'm like, everybody loves me. This is brilliant. And then second half went out to do my second set and realized within about 30 seconds that this is the wrong audience for this set. And I'm not good at sort of switching it up on the spot. And it's like, I'm locked in now. I'm going to do my whole set. And they're just going to sit there and listen to it. I remember at the end of it, pretty much crawling down the 3 steps into the green room and just lying on the floor. And all you guys were in the green room and would have been able to hear the silence as my set finished. And I think it was Mike kind of put his hand on me and went, shh, it's okay. Just stay there. Yeah, that was probably my biggest death. Oh no, it's not my biggest death. My biggest one would have been at the finals of the Royal Comedy Quest down in Christchurch. And yeah, got into the finals, and then it was coming up to my set and everything was good. Knew my material, was real confident. And then got up, said my first line, and then forgot all the words in English language and how to even vocalize any kind of noise, and just stood there and was like, how do I speak? And then I remembered the next line, said it, and then completely forgot again. And at that point, I knew I hadn't won. So that was a good death.
That's a pretty intense bomb. That's a pretty big bomb. I feel like it's been a long time since I felt embarrassed or like not good enough, because I'm pretty good now.
You are.
Street performing like that is a different skill. It's a different muscle that I haven't trained. And I really just feel like a bit of a jackass. But it's fine because I'm going to work on my indoor show, and then I'm going to go back when the Fringe has started, and I'm going to do my shit, and I'm going to make shitloads of money, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 100% the case because you know how to overcome this feeling shit because you do it every day.
Yes.
And it's where
And
using those skills and putting them to a new topic. So normally you'd use them to deal with your day-to-day life. Now you can focus purely on the feeling shit after doing that show. And how long have you got
mm,
until your indoor show?
my indoor show starts in 3 days.
Okay. And how you feeling about that?
Good. I have a little bit of work to do. It's good that I don't do street shows the next 3 days. I've got a couple little props to make. Need to do some rehearsal. Need to do a little bit of training. Need to run it. Um, but like street, I haven't done. This I can do in my sleep. I can make people have fun in a room like nobody's
Mm.
business.
Yeah.
Um, but the thing is, like, you have to do so much flyering and like hustling to get audience in the door.
Mm.
And I have such little reserves. Like I was having real big pain flare tonight. And yeah, I'm gonna be so fucked after this month. I'm not looking forward to the pain pit that I'm gonna be in.
Yeah. So how are you keeping on top of that while you're there?
Badly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But like I can get through pain flares. Like I know how to do it. But like fuck, tonight we went and sat and I had dinner with a very old friend of mine and I was having a pain flare. So I was quite ticky and I was grabbing my neck and I was just like doing my normal shit. And she just, because she doesn't live with it and like, oh God, your life is hell. And you're like, yes, can we talk about politics and I can just quietly die? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Has she not been around much of either chronic pain or disability in general, or was it quite a big
Most
deal?
the thing is, most people haven't. Most people are just clueless
Right. So
about it.
so her reaction to it, I guess it's like if you didn't know what is it? It's like if someone has Tourette's, it's a surprise and
Hmm.
you
Well,
react
there's
to
also
it.
the thing is, it's the empathy. It's like they're like they want you to feel better, but you're like, but there is no better. This is just the how the shape of my life is, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and it's quite a big deal to them. Like the other day, I'd
Hmm.
had a few messages with a friend, and then we'd said goodbye, and I was at the gym, and I took my phone on the floor, and I must have just pressed the screen as I put the phone down, and it sent some random letters, and I forgot about it, for maybe 15 minutes, and then went and looked at my phone, and she had, I'd sent this random message, and she texts back, message back immediately with, "Oh no, a seizure. Are you okay?" Followed
Hmm.
by, "Are you with Donna?" And then I'm going to contact Donna. And then she'd sent Donna a message, and so then I messaged Donna and went, "Hey, you're going to have a random message," and I'm like, "I'm good." And so I messaged the first person back and went, "Hey, I'm fine." And it's like the time from me sending the random message to the time that she contacted someone saying, "Oh my God, Nate's having a seizure. Can you get with her?" was 3 minutes.
That's a good friend.
It is good. It's lovely and it's caring and it's really thoughtful, but it's 3 minutes and their immediate reaction to, "Oh, that was a random few letters that they've sent." It's
Yeah,
not
but
just, "Are you having a seizure?" It's immediately on the case. I need to contact everyone and in a panic, "Nate's having a
yeah,
seizure."
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
And
get it.
I know where they're coming from with it, but for me personally, it's like as soon as I'm not in contact for any brief amount of time, it's an immediate, "Oh no, everything's gone wrong." And it's like it can get, and no disrespect to the person, it can get almost tedious that people's first reaction to me is, "I'm probably going wrong." Whereas
Mm,
people who've been around me a lot and seen a lot of seizures and seen me going into a seizure, they're kind of more chill about it. That, "Oh, and they
mm,
might be having a seizure, but that's okay, and we'll give her a bit of time." And
mm.
it kind of reminds me that that can be a lot more in the forefront of other people's minds than it is in mine. And so I
Mm,
was just relating that to you having your pain flares and your tics, is
mm,
that, say, if you're doing that around me or around Rachel, we'd be like,
mm.
oh, yeah, Steve's in pain. This is
Yeah,
cool.
it's
This,
like yeah, we don't need to talk about it. There's other
yeah.
more interesting things to talk about than the hell that is my life.
Yeah, and we don't need to immediately point it out to you like, look at you being disabled, look at you being broken. We're all
Mm,
highly aware of how rubbish you are.
mm.
It's very easy to see right now that you're a broken failure of a human. And we don't need to be reminded of that. We know it's the case.
Oh God. Oh, it's rough, isn't it? Yes, yes, it is.
You're shit. Did you know that? If you were feeling good about yourself, could I just remind you, you shouldn't. You are a terrible, useless waste of time. I don't know why we spend any time with you because you're shit.
Yeah, that's what she said. And I said, that's not very supportive.
You pick weird people to be friends with.
I know. It's like, maybe I should. I was like, maybe I shouldn't go for dinner at an old friend's house.
And you wonder why your street performance didn't work. Everyone's standing
Exactly.
around. Everyone's
It's
standing
be-
there going, really?
He's
This is
just
a
shit. Look at him. Have you seen it? It's not even it's not even a goat. It's barely human.
we don't want to stand on the street and watch a disabled person break down. That's not entertainment.
Well, the thing is, they didn't even want to see a disabled person do contact juggling, which I'm very good at. And I was like really struggling to get anyone to stop. And I think that's the thing I hate most about street performing is the draw. I fucking hate it. But there's things to do that make it work better. But ugh.
It's begging for love, isn't it? It's like if I'm looking for film roles, and
Mm,
I hate the networking and I hate the begging. I
mm.
like to be offer only, like Hollywood. Come to me. You, Nelson's small. You all know what I can do. You all know how I am on stage. You all know how I am on a film set. Come to me and utilize me. I shouldn't have to go around saying to people, please, please put me in your show. Please put me in this because it's begging for love. I don't want to have to beg for it. I just want to be loved, Steve.
Well, guess what? You're gonna have to beg, bitch,
I'm
because you're
trying.
also a giant sack of shit. It's completely worthless. People, do you know who wants love? Functioning people. There's like normal ones that want it, and you just want it for you.
Yeah,
Get the
see, they
fuck out.
want it, they deserve it, and they can get it. Like we beg for it, and people could look at us and go, "Oh, really? I have the option of a normal person or you. Why would I pick you?" Like, do
So,
we have to
so
go above and beyond to be worthy? Like, we have to overcome being shit, and then we can allow our personalities to shine. Up until that point,
I could have you or so just now when you told me your story, and I threw up in my mouth a little bit, and just felt like I'd been watching a child from Sarajevo being eaten by a vulture. You know that? Yeah, just no. Pass. Hard
but,
pass.
but like, surely we're like a car crash. Like, people like to look at us,
Yeah,
even though they're
pervert.
horrified.
Disgusting slug pervert people.
I wonder if that's what our actual friends in their secret minds, they're like, well, yeah, we'll be around them, not because of anything valuable that they can bring to a friendship, but because they're fascinating to watch how deteriorated and how rubbish they are.
I met so one of the street performery friends that I met, she got a little bit of a following because she was in a puppet vor video.
A what?
There is a genre of quasi kink that features people getting eaten alive by puppets.
Really?
It is a thing.
That's extremely niche, that.
It's about as niche as it gets.
How do you figure out that you're into that?
You know, I didn't think to ask. She's not into it. She just did a video. Like she wasn't even naked or anything.
Right,
Uh,
right.
but yeah, it's just this thing where they're like, I don't know if it's like they like the cannibalism and it's as close as they can get, or if it's they like the puppets and that's part of it. I don't know. I'll need to ask her next time
Oh,
I see her.
that's weird because there's a lot of monster porn, of like animated
Mm,
porn of big monsters and aliens
the
and tentacles.
tentacling.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's how do you find out? I wonder if I've got a secret kink that I just need to stumble across. I wonder if I'm into something weird, but I just haven't been exposed to it yet. And
You've
one
never,
day,
but yeah, you've never found the right shaped teapot. You're like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like one day something random will come from my computer and I'll be like, well, that's it. That's what I'm into. I found it.
I tell you what though, so with the boy, because he spent his whole life in like he grew up with his little shelf in the house bus, he loves enclosed spaces and
Right,
loves
right.
being like inside sleeping bags and stuff. And in the back of my head, I'm like, that's gonna be something weird when he's
Yeah, 'cause some people do enjoy just cramming themselves in small spaces. There was one program that I watched, and the lady had like her best friend had a coffee table that was like a cupboard kind of thing, and
Hmm.
she would go around to her friend's house and just get in and stay in there for a while. And her friend was like, "Yeah, it's what she does. She just stays in there for a bit." And she comes out like an hour later and she's like, "Yeah, fine." That's a good friend that just lets you come around and get in her table. I need
That's
friends like that. Actually, I'm pretty sure, my friends would be all right with me having a weird
I
thing
think
like
if
that.
you said I need a support table, they would be like, you can have
Yeah,
here's a house key, Naomi. If you just need to come be inside a table for like
yeah.
a
Like, I'm
minute.
pretty sure if I came to your house and I said, I just need to crawl under your bed for an hour, you'd be like, well, okay, off you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, oh yeah, go for your life.
I just need to stand in the corner of your lounge and watch you for an hour. Will that be all right?
Can I just can I just hover silently behind you as you eat and listen to you chew?
Can you just piggyback me everywhere? And just don't talk to me, just ignore me, but I'm just
Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
clamped onto your
just
back.
carry just can you hold me like a baby and just rock me?
Yeah,
But don't acknowledge me. Just
yeah, yeah.
motion.
Just rock me like a baby. Yeah. Would you do that for me?
I would rock you like a baby for like a minute. I'd be like,
Okay.
there you go. It
Would
wouldn't
you would you push me around in a pram for a day? Not a wheelchair, a
only
pram.
if you acted like a complete spaz who needed like a giant adult sized wheelchair and shat yourself in public.
Oh, okay. Put on the full disabled. I'm not allowed
Yeah,
to do that.
go
I
full
might
spaz.
be I might be spaz disabled with seizures, but I think, like socially and politically, I'm not allowed to get into a wheelchair, shit myself, and pretend to be disabled. Don't think I'm allowed to do that.
Is that I think you know what? I think you might be onto something there, Naomi, that's
Yeah,
not I
I
think
think
have you
I'd,
gone
I think I would need to ask all disabled people for permission.
like literally all of them, every single one. And then you'd be like 72,964 done, tick, and then you just immediately shit yourself in a chair. Ah,
Immediately, as soon as the last person signs the consent form,
yeah,
that's it. Just let
that's
go.
I mean you that would have been like a UN's worth of work. You would have united the
Yeah.
disabled community in a way like never before, and real progress could have been made.
See, I think it was going to take a while to ask every disabled person. So I wonder if there's the king of disabled people. Like, do
Yeah, his
they,
name's
like
Jeff.
their whole own race, like, do they elect a king, their spokesperson? How do I find King Spaz? There's got to be one that's just the top one, the best one. Do
What's
you know,
that?
though?
There's that one that he's cut all the other guys' heads off. Wait, no, that was a movie, not real life.
That was a fever dream.
That was that was an opium haze.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think being in a wheelchair, I mean, we call it a pram, but we'll basically mean wheelchair.
Hmm.
Being in a wheelchair, pretending to be fully disabled, is going to be frowned upon. So,
Yes, that
what
yeah.
level of disabled am I allowed to be without being offensive? There isn't the
I'm
level.
there. There's none. The answer to that question is zero.
See, because even if I went less disabled, like I think it's still wrong. Like less disabled than having seizures full time. Maybe missing one leg.
Well,
Would
here's the
that be less
thing, right? Okay, no,
disabled?
okay. So the thing is, right? So it's the invisible disability thing, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of like how much your life is affected, how much physical disability, like, are you as put out as somebody with no thumbs?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So
That's,
I
I
guess
think
like
that's the line, and that is a math equation I'm not gonna do.
we need to do a survey of all disabled people. Because yeah,
All of
saying
them.
that with one leg, like without belittling anybody who's only got one leg,
Hmm.
is I imagine after amount of time, you learn how to live without having one leg and you
Yeah.
get used to it to an extent and it
Mhm.
doesn't inhibit your day to day completely. And it would still be, I'm sure people would prefer to have both legs. I'm sure that's an assumption, but people may prefer to have both legs. But with an invisible disability, there isn't a getting better with it.
Mm.
It's just like with a chronic condition, that's just how it is, and it doesn't necessarily get easier or get better. You still have to have it day to day. We need a rating system. We need to make a list of all the disabilities that are possible for a human, and then
Mhm.
do a cross section of interviews with everybody who has that disability. Then we
Mhm.
can put them into a rating scale, and then we can find out the most disabled person, the one who's most bothered,
Right.
and we can all be glad we're not that person. And we can find out who's the least bothered, and we can all tell them to get out of the disability community because they're not that bothered. Let's rate it. We always say don't play injury trumps, but actually today, fuck it. I want to play injury trumps. I want to play
I
disability trumps. And the people who are less bothered by me, I want to tell them all to fuck off. And the people who are more bothered, I want to look at them and go, phew, thank God I'm not those people.
I think the absolute worst, it would be someone who's basically they're missing so many pieces that they're just in a bucket.
I wonder, yeah, what's I think for me, the worst disability would be that locked in syndrome.
Oh my God, although the Celine Dion disease.
I haven't watched the documentary, but from what I've seen, it looks pretty damn awful.
Yeah, so your body, if it gets injured, replaces the injury with bone instead of new flesh.
Oh, that's that turning stone type one, isn't it?
Yeah. Like that's fully what
Mm.
she's got. And today I was like, at least I'm not that lady. Although she is very rich, but
Yeah, or at what point does that become irrelevant? You can have all the
when
money in
your
the world.
fucking body's turning to stone, you know?
Mm. Is that like obviously that's just going to keep on going? Do they like what's their limited lifespan with that? Like how
I
long can you
have
live with that?
no clue. I think Celine Dion has Celine Dion money, so I think she's gonna be as comfortable as is like possible, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know, but gee whiz, that must be painful. Because like
See,
if you
that's
have a bruise, you're
mm,
gonna have a lump of bone and you can't cut the bone out because it just makes new bone when it's healing from where the bone got cut.
shit. That'd be terrible. I mean, like personally, with having the seizures and I'm falling down all over the place, I would turn stone pretty damn quick.
No, yeah,
I'm
you'd be
always injured.
fucked.
I would be fucked. But there
This
was
is
I can't remember the book, but there's the guy, oh, I've forgotten his name, um, that he got really ill as a kid and
mm,
was just getting more and more ill, and the parents are like, we don't know what's going on with him. And then one day he just stopped. He stopped responding. He couldn't make any noise. He was just completely gone.
mm,
And so he had to go into like residential care. and they would bring him home for visits, and they'd go and see him every day, but he couldn't like be fed. He was tube fed. He was just not there. He was
Wow.
basically just his body. And for years, he was in this residential facility, years and years. And then there was one nurse that noticed a very slight something in his eyes. And
Mm.
she was like, I'm not giving up on him. And she would see him every day and she would try different things. And he came out of this locked inness, and he's written a book, an autobiography, and he was aware of what was going on. He said it was like being in fog for a long time, and then it started to come back in flashes of awareness. And then eventually he was fully aware of everything, but he couldn't even move his eyes to say, hey, I'm in here. He was just
Wow.
completely locked in. And he could hear things like his mum crying, and like if she was in his eye line, he could see her. But
Mm.
he could hear her crying and saying it would be better if he was dead, and she wished he would
Whoa.
die. And she obviously, when she, in later
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
once he heard it all, she's like, obviously feels pretty bad about that.
Mm.
But it's completely understandable why she would be hoping
Mm.
for everybody's sake that, he wasn't
Yeah,
around.
just for this to finish.
Yeah, yeah. And he went on to even before he could speak, he's had all this rehab and that, and he actually, if I remember correctly, um, has married that nurse who saw in him that he was still around. They
Oh,
had such a
that's
connection.
nice.
Yeah, yeah. And he before he could, fully function, he's extremely intelligent with like IT and technical stuff like that,
Mm.
and got employed and works, really high tech, brainy kind of jobs. And he goes as like not so much of an inspirational speaker, but goes to talk about his story and what you're capable of and what he went through. And the book's actually, it's really good. It's well worth a read. But I mean, spoiler alert. But um yeah, it's like to be that locked in, but to know that you're locked in,
Mm.
that would be hideous. Because I mean, on the darker side of it, in his respite, the residential care, he was really badly abused as well, like
Mm.
sexually and physically. And to be fully aware that people are using you,
Yuck.
like, yeah, yeah. It's
That's
yeah, it's
spicy.
a pretty intense story, and it's like it's like a movie. Like that can't be real life, but it 100% is real life. It's
Well,
crazy.
at least you're not that kind.
Yeah, glad I'm not him. Can't
Yeah.
even remember his name. That's how much how little I think of other people. Somebody who's had a very traumatic life, and I can't even be bothered to remember their name.
That's just your intense autism speaking.
Is it? Well, I can't I can't recognize faces. So, remembering names has got to be a good one. It's funny because with the facial recognition that I struggle with, I often lock in like an item of clothing or a hairstyle or that sort of thing, like because
Mm.
the face itself doesn't
Is the
necessarily move.
facial is that new, the facial blindness, or have you always had that?
No, well, I I think it's got worse as life's gone on.
Mm.
Um, my decline. But I think up until like maybe the last couple of years, I didn't realize that not everybody doesn't recognize everybody else.
Right.
Like I thought it was quite normal to have to
Mm.
spend half an hour trying to place who people were before you realized who they were.
Mm.
And like I've always been hugely surprised that I'm recognized by friends when I'm out in the street,
Right.
because how can they recognize me? Like it blows my mind that if I'm walking down the street with a pair of sunglasses on, that
Mm.
people know who I am. Or if I've got a cap on, how do people know that it's me? Because I'm in disguise. Like seriously, it surprises me every single time. And like, especially if like I've had people walk up to me from behind and go, "Hi, Nay," and I'm like, "It was my back. How do you know it's me?
From your gait, from your walk.
Have I got a really weird walk?"
Can notice people by the walks. I have a weird walk because I shuffle like a broken piece of shit that I
And
am.
and you wail and cry as you walk along, as you shuffle around and you mumble to yourself and then shout at pigeons, you know, that's quite recognizable.
I, you know, sorry, I just need a second because it has been forever since I felt like a fucking amateur turd like I have today. And it's refreshing, I've decided.
Mm.
It's nice to, it's always good to be humbled, to be, working towards something. So I'm using my coping skills from being a spaz and I'm pivoting it. I'm gonna judo my bad feelings.
That's really good. It's a growth moment, as cheesy as that sounds.
Well, it's I mean, that's the thing that has gotten me through a lot of the really ick is that your most difficult circumstances offer the richest opportunities for personal growth, which you can't say to another person going through shit. But when you're going through it yourself and you're like, okay, I know this is gonna make me a little bit more steely or give me more ability to cope than I did have before than I thought
Yeah,
I could, you know? And I think that the humility thing's really important to keep
it
humble.
is. It is, and it also shows you what areas you need to kind of work on.
Hmm.
Like not even just in a, professional doing your actual show, but like in life when you react away to something and you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, why did I react like that? Or how why was that my response? And
Mm.
it's good to be checked and go,
Yeah. Well,
actually,
and because so often, so much of our like initial response to a challenge or a situation has so little to do with the actual challenge or situation and is about all of the things around it and that then this is tipped over the edge of coping, you know?
yeah, yeah. And it's like if you've got a, a belief, whether that's, a social or political thing or whatever, and you get into a Facebook discussion, say,
Mm,
if somebody says something, it's immediate to go, no, no, I've got my opinion and that's it. But I really like to play devil's advocate to myself and
mm.
go, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that reaction isn't the right thing. And I'm quite happy to eventually go, no, you're right, actually. I get that wrong. Thank you for
Mm.
telling me I was wrong. A bit
That's
like
why
we
you're
said.
not a total sack of shit.
Yeah. Or I'm just really weak in my own beliefs, and as soon as someone challenges me, then I'm like, oh no, okay, yeah, you're right. Sorry, ignore me. I'm wrong.
Sorry, I meant to say that's why you're a sheeple.
A sheeple, yeah. Do you know what gets me? Is when people say, oh, you're so woke.
Oh, fuck
And
off.
then later on, they'll say, oh, sheep, wake up. And it's like, hang on, am I woke or am I asleep? Which do you want? Do you want me just to be having naps? Like, I can't be woke and wake up at the same time. One or the other, please.
This is why you just shouldn't talk to people on the internet basically ever.
I do often have to step back and tell myself I can't educate everybody.
Hmm.
I want to educate them because there's so many stupid people online.
There are
And
so many stupid people online.
I just don't know how people can be so vocal about such nonsense. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm quite vocal about nonsense. I mean, just listen to the podcast.
Hmm.
But I like to think that I will listen to a reasonable argument. I'm pretty sure I can discuss things
Okay.
without being too
Here's a
reactionary.
reasonable argument now. You suck. Go on.
Ah, okay. Hmm. I would have to see. I can't argue against truth.
This is
If I had to argue, your claim is that I suck. If I had
Mm.
to argue against that, would I need to provide evidence that I don't?
Yeah, but here's the thing is that you have so many amazing, beautiful qualities, and then other ones that suck. Just like me, I have all these beautiful things, but sometimes my words don't work because my nervous system is so overwhelmed from so many screws in me Like, God, fuck,
You're
man.
literally screwed.
I'm man, when I had a screw loose, my dad thought that was the funniest thing that had ever happened to anyone.
That is pretty good.
It's I literally had a screw loose.
It's weighing up then, isn't it? Whether your shit qualities outweigh your good qualities.
Well, this is where the matrix of disabledness versus good, because right, are you less of it? Okay, here's the thing. If you're kind of a dickhead and you're a spaz, are you less good than a person who's not a dickhead but is not a spaz? So do you get more dick points for your relative level of difficulty?
Ah, so you're given more leeway. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, if somebody's in a wheelchair and like quite physically disabled and they're a
Mm,
really horrible person,
mm.
are they allowed to be? Yes. Yes. They deserve it. They deserve to be a horrible person.
Because there was a guy I used to support when I was a support worker who had some pretty profound autism, but was also a fucking just like no two ways. Like he was super autistic, but even without the autism, he was a fucking asshole. That guy.
Yeah, I had an ex person who who I refer to as my mistake. So an ex person who was an absolute dick, was quite a big built person,
Mm.
and would say, "Oh, they hate me because I'm fat." And I would always think, actually, no, they hate you because you're a cunt. Your fatness is irrelevant. Nobody gives a fuck about your fatness. They give a fuck about you being a horrible person.
Oh my god, that my favorite joke of yours is that one that's like, I
I
had to
know the
split
one
up
that
with my
you
ex because I was a Pisces and she was a cunt.
Yeah. It's a mess. Yeah, we were incompatible.
That's such a good. That's a very good funny joke. It's a
It
good joke.
is a funny joke. And I, when I was doing stand up, that I didn't swear particularly. Like in normal life, I swear left, right, and centre. But for some reason, when I'm on stage, swearing didn't really
Yeah,
happen.
you are quite clean.
Yeah, yeah. But that joke needs the
It
C
needs, yeah,
word. It needs that for
and it
that hit.
needs the C. It needs the hard C.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause it's
Because if
like,
you
oh
said
my.
bitch, it does. I was a Pisces and she was a bitch. That's not funny. Like the bad word is the punchline.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's nice and hard hitting.
Mm. Thanks so much for listening to this meandering, slightly random episode, but that's all right. That's what we're here for. Chatting shit and feeling better through laughter. Because I think, do you feel a bit better after our bullshit session, Naomi?
Yeah, I do. With the world in
Mm.
general, I'm still angry about my camera, but I
I'm,
feel better in
I
general.
still feel like a bit of a failure, but I've laughed. So I got that going for me.
Well, today you can laugh, cry, and hopefully not die
Hopefully
on
not die.
stage.
Otherwise, it will make the podcast very difficult.
It'll be quite one-sided.
It'll just be the sound of me like moldering away in death and like a worm going through my eyeball. You just like, isn't that right, Steve? And you're just here like,
As long as you keep the camera running, the conversation would be the same level of
just a
interest.
decomposing body
A live
for a
feed.
podcast. Well, I think we've reached peak podcast. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.